Hey guys, Saber's here with me, and we're going to talk about Star Wars because we haven't actually talked to each other about it yet, and we're going to talk about spoilers. So this is going to be a very, very spoiler-filled video, and we're also going to like speculate a little bit, maybe. So yeah. So what do you think of the movie?
I loved it.
Yeah,
I
I liked
really
it too.
did. I just want to say that, and I feel like that's something a lot of people are saying right now. Um, I'm trying to follow my gut on this one. And today I spent most of it, like when I was at work. It's almost weird because I was a little bit quiet, just meditating on what I saw last night. And trying to figure out, like, did I like it? Was it good? Because ever since the Phantom Menace, it's like, gotta be careful, gotta make sure we don't
Yeah,
get, that we can't
too
have this happen.
overhyped.
Exactly.
I mean,
And
the movie right now has like a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes,
well,
which I'm not sure if I agree with, but it is really good.
like, okay, so what I thought was I started comparing it to other movies, and you gotta be like, it's like the same thing with Pixar, where Star Wars gets a lot more. Well, we're expecting a lot from you,
Yeah,
especially with all this buildup. We're expecting a lot good things. And I think they delivered on that. They definitely delivered a movie that was fun, a movie that progressed the Star Wars story in a new direction with new characters and old. And we'll talk about certain aspects of the movie that made it amazing and parts they could have done better on. But overall, I think the movie was well done. I got what I got what I was looking for, and I look forward to seeing it again.
yeah.
I
I mean,
give
like
it
a
a
hundred more times.
well. I mean, yeah, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a movie you have to see a couple times over to actually get to appreciate it because there's so much going on, especially in the J.J. Abrams version of it. What did you
Now,
think?
yeah, I really liked it. I loved the fact that they had a lot of practical effects in this
Yes,
movie. Like there's a lot of things like wow, they really didn't need to do that for practical effects, but they did it anyway.
it looked
Uh
beautiful.
yeah.
The movie. Okay, so things that they did right, like extraordinary, they knocked out of the park. Okay, so it was a very beautiful film.
Yeah.
The coloring, the just the characters and the outfits and the practical effects of the aliens and how they moved around. Like the scene when they walked into that old aliens like palace, whatever.
Yeah.
It was very reminiscent of Mos Eisley, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the cantina with all the aliens dancing around and doing their thing. This is so cool. They look so real, and
Yeah.
you can tell that because like if that would have been George Lucas, it would have been a lot more CGI. But this time around, it was like there's a lot of they paid a lot of homage whatever to episode one. That's one thing I wanted to address. There's a lot of parallels
You mean episode 4.
for whatever. I'm sorry.
But yeah, yeah, that was one thing I was going to mention that might be a bad thing, but it might also be a good thing, is that this is pretty much the same story of A New Hope.
It's way too close actually.
Yeah.
Uh, where I was almost hoping that when Ray was talking to Solo, saying like, "Hey, I need you to help me get to this planet with this robot," here I was hoping he'd be like, "Not again. No, I've done this before. This isn't happening."
Oh, speaking of that, Harrison Ford was actually really good in this movie. Like,
He's excellent. When he wants
yeah,
to be excellent, he can be really good. And I thought like, they really, like, the scene that made me feel like that's Solo is when Finn was like, "Hey, I'm a big deal in the Resistance and everything." And he's like, "Okay, big deal, whatever you say." Like,
yeah,
I love how much of a smart ass he is. That's Han Solo.
yeah,
And that's great. They did a good job introducing the old characters.
yeah,
Here's Chewbacca. Here's Han. Here's
yeah.
3PO.
That's
is
actually
funny.
that's actually Peter Mayhew in the costume. That's really nice.
I
Yeah,
think, except for the parts when he runs around because he's kind of
yeah, yeah,
crippled. But the um the way they introduce every character seemed very appropriate. Having Leia and I listened to the music too, like hearing the themes for the characters.
yeah,
When 3PO popped up, that was such a 3PO thing. Oh,
yeah,
hello,
yeah.
I bet you
Yeah.
didn't recognize
Oh,
me.
that's one thing that I mentioned in my video is that the humor in the movie it seems like a lot more than the original trilogy had, but it works really well.
I don't know. I feel like they're different. Return of the Jedi I'm trying to think if I can give this a proper explanation. So I feel like most of the comedy in the old trilogy was more physical comedy, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Like when Han Solo hits Boba Fett's jetpack and
Yeah,
hits something, or whenever like there's a just falling down like with the Ewoks, flinging all over the place. Like there's that
yeah, and there's also
versus
that because I actually watched Return of the Jedi right before going to
so did
see
I,
Episode
so
7.
did I, so did
Yeah,
I.
and there's that point where he's like trying to open the door, and then he puts it together, and then the door just closes again, like
I
another
got it.
door over
I
it.
got
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That was funny. Uh, I think what we need to realize is this is a new step forward for Star Wars, and which means we're going to probably, and since it's from a new director, we're going to see some new things. Like the scene that kind of made me feel like a bit was when Kylo Ren lost the girl and he flipped his
yeah. He
shit.
was like, "Whoa, we haven't seen a villain like that in Star Wars, where they
Well,
just like
I
completely
love
lose it."
Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
Kylo Ren is the best part of the movie.
you think so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kylo Ren was the best character. They did such an excellent job. Like when he took his mask off, I'm like, he looks weird. Like, you know,
Actually, when he started starting to get kind of angsty, I was like, "Oh no, is this going to be an Anakin?" And I was like,
that's actually kind of good though, in a way. Think
"Yeah,
about it, because Anakin was a very conflicted young man who was frustrated. Because I watched a little bit of Revenge of the Sith yesterday too, and the scene when he's arguing with Kenobi, he's like, I hate you, you can't take it from me. It's like, oh my god, and I also wanted to watch Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith to be like, here, it's the last of the trilogy, new trilogy, and like things that like you have to appreciate the simple stuff, like in this movie, Force Awakens, the acting is great, the dialogue's great, the delivery is great. There isn't awkwardness where it's like Anakin, with his weird lines
yeah."
versus everything flowed and quite
Yeah, all the
nicely.
dialogue is really great. Like all the dialogue that Ray and Finn have are great.
It's very
Yeah,
organic,
yeah.
and I
I like
love.
I like the part where like Harrison Ford is like doing like this, and then Finn's like, "Why are you doing this? What?"
That was a bit interesting though. See, out of all the comedy for me, it was Finn's comedy that I felt was the most awkward.
You think so?
Yes, let me explain. It was funny, but it's funny because he's a new character. Yeah, I felt like what he was saying was kind of out of character.
Mm.
Don't forget, this is a guy who was raised by the Empire or the
Yeah,
First
First
Order.
Order. Yeah,
He was taken from his family. He was pretty much bred in a Nazi-like regime because they flat out did a Nazi.
yeah. It was like that is like
That
that's
was too
Nazis.
much. That
Yeah,
was too much. I thought, come on, like the coats, the way they were standing. It's like, and then they had to see what the Nazis. I'm like, come on, guys, that's a bit much. Like we get it, they're evil. What are they? Are there a bunch of like, I don't know, like Jawas and camps that they're like on? We captured. There's a train of Jawas being sent to the far moon of Auschwitz. It's like, come on, guys. Uh, like that was too much. Um, but I felt like Finn almost was. You'd think the First Order would have crushed that out of him. Where, like in the old Empire, I think the soldiers would have been a bit more laid back because they were volunteers, but or they might have been drafted. But still, like the First Order makes it fit. They even said like you are taken from birth, you are raised to be a soldier.
yeah,
It's pretty much a clone without being cloned in
yeah.
effect.
I like how the other stormtroopers are like traitor.
I like
Like
that. I
yeah,
like that too. And they even made a callback to the clones saying maybe we should make clones. It's like no,
yeah,
well my soldiers are fine. I love that. That paid homage to the old trilogy or the prequel trilogy. So that kind of bothers. I mean, his comedy is almost like, would I be hearing jokes from a guy who just got out of like this shitty situation? Like, I almost felt
yeah.
like he was a bit too lively. Like, I know you need comedy to break it to to break up tension in the audience and kind of keep things lighthearted. But I almost felt like some of the jokes, I'm like, these are awkward
Yeah.
jokes. They made me laugh, but I'm like, but would he be saying them really?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that when I was watching the movie, but
After the movie, that's what I thought.
yeah, but for Finn, I didn't know that he would be like a stormtrooper that went rogue. Because
Somebody said that.
Because you actually predicted that when we first saw the first trailer.
Oh, by the way, Jim just said there's a really good chance my Force Awakens review will be the longest review I've ever posted.
Really? Oh, cool. I'll link it on this video so you guys can go watch it.
Jim is amazing. If we don't know a fraction about movies compared to what Jim knows.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing what he thinks. So, other things about the movie. So,
two big major spoilers. One is that Kylo Ren is Han Solo. What?
Yeah. By the way, just once again, just to reiterate, spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
this is a spoiler video. This is a spoilers video. We're talking about spoilers. So yeah, but Kylo Ren is Han Solo's son. Yeah.
And Leia's son.
Leia's son.
So they had a child.
Yeah. They're divorced.
And then
not divorced, but I guess separated.
I would imagine that
I'm not sure like how a marriage works in space.
I would imagine that after, because here's another thing, it's kind of a spoiler, is his name was Ben, right?
Yeah.
Ben. So I guess kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And he said like there's part of like the Ren warriors or whatever. So I guess there's like, because that's what General Hux said, is about like he was part of the Ren clan or whatever. So there's like a thing with that.
I never heard that part. I missed that.
Yeah. So apparently, what's Ren?
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently, we might find out.
Is he? Is it a Sith or something, or?
I don't know.
Ren.
But yeah, as far as like Kylo Ren, he was given that name. That's not his real name. Ben is his real name.
Because in a flashback, it showed like the Jedi's being slaughtered. So what happened is Luke, after Return of the Jedi, because in Return of the Jedi, Yoda says, "Listen, after you confront Vader, and if things go well, your job is to raise the next batch of Jedis in the galaxy." To which Luke did go do. He went and I guess established.
And that's the main like point of this movie, is that it's trying to find out where Luke went, because
that's everything. It was like, Luke's missing. It's like
that's the scrolling text in the beginning of the movie. It's talking about what happened after Return of the Jedi, where Luke was supposed to be training the next generation of Jedi, but then he went missing.
Yeah. So, Luke did that. He trained the Jedis. I guess he raised his nephew, Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And then Kylo discovered, I like the dark side more. And it's kind of an interesting setup because, like, his grandfather was, the Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The most powerful, not the most powerful, but the most naturally gifted Sith who's ever lived, to have the most potential. And I guess Kylo went on a rampage with what looks to be other Sith people, too, because in the flashback, there are other ones standing near him.
Yeah.
And they killed the Jedis. And I guess, and here's another small spoiler, Rey has the Force in her. She's a Jedi, or she has the light side in her.
Yeah, which we don't know her relationships yet, but people are speculating that she's probably Luke's daughter.
Luke's daughter, or things. I always wondered if it was Han Solo's daughter, but I felt like that would be too, like, come on, that's way too many parallels. It's like,
there's like, another twins set.
If they're cousins, that could work.
Yeah.
And they could be completely unrelated. That's fine. But the way that he was talking, he's like, "There's a girl missing," and he freaked out. Like, I like how Kylo like just destroyed that console and just kept cutting.
Yeah.
It up.
He has a less restraint than Vader did,
which is indicative of the fact that he lacks training. Like there is a evil character called like Supreme Leader.
The Supreme Leader. I forgot his name.
Snooky.
Snooky.
And
he's actually played by Andy Serkis,
which is cool.
Yeah,
it's Smeagol from Lord of the Rings.
Though the way he looked didn't. I don't know.
He looks like a bit like a little green man from Mars.
He's
he's enormous.
but it's a hologram, so it's made
That
to
was
look
cool.
big.
I
Yeah.
like that. That jerked my chain. I'm like, he's enormous. This is gonna be the most awkward lightsaber fight ever. It's like, oh, he's a hologram. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and speaking of the CG things, there's also another character that Han Solo introduces to Finn and Rey, and that's I forgot her name, but it was like Mess or something. Starts
I
with an
liked
M.
her. She was
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, her CG was good, but still kind of clashed a little bit with the whole bar scene.
I
But
thought
like
she looked fine.
yeah, from the back, I think she looked fine, but from the front, I could see like, okay, it still looks way better than the prequels, but it I don't know, it's gonna take a while for me to get used to it, I guess. If I see it again, I'll probably be like, okay.
I liked her character though. I thought it was funny because she implied that Chewbacca's her boyfriend. She's like, "How's my boyfriend?"
Yeah, I know.
Like, I love it. I love that. So, things that bothered me. Okay, I want to talk about more things that bothered me. The space fights were the dog fighting was underwhelming to me.
Hmm.
To me, I felt like the trailers for the commercial revealed too much of that. Now, and it was extraordinarily fast paced.
Yeah, it was.
Way
The
too
one,
much.
the one thing that I did really like though is the chase in the Millennium Falcon when they first get into it.
That was cool. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
X-wings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Millennium Falcon's chasing was awesome. I love when he's sitting in the gunner seats. I love that. And the little, that was
Yeah, and
really
they flip
cool.
upside down because it's like stuck in one position.
I mean, the Falcon got the
Yeah.
shit beat out of it in this movie.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how it survived. Like, I'm like, that thing is tough. I love how they introduced
That thing
it,
is so
like,
old now.
Let's get to that ship. Pulls up. I guess we'll take this ship instead. The camera pans
That
over
piece of
and it's the
garbage.
Falcon. I'm like, that's appropriate. And it implies that the Falcon was lost and because of people stealing it, which is also
Yeah,
kind of
they,
funny
they
because-
actually go into detail. Like it's like they stole it from them, and they stole it from them, and they stole it from them, and then Han's like, "Who stole it from me?"
Yeah, and he's like, well, Han Solo has it back, and he's not giving it back. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're Han Solo. This is the Millennium Falcon that ran in 14 parsecs, 12 parsecs, which is actually dumb because it's a unit of measurements. Like, I ran the marathon in 14 miles. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
like it's cool distance, but you can do that like over time. Whatever. So,
So speaking of Han Solo, there's also another major
the
spoiler.
biggest spoiler
Yeah.
in this movie is the death of Han Solo.
Yeah, which honestly I saw coming as soon as he walked onto the bridge. I was like, okay, that's who's gonna die.
Yeah, when that happened and he's walking up to him, I'm like, there's no way he's getting out of this alive. Like,
Yeah, I was like, I mean, you're over a bridge that is like it has an infinite chasm.
dude, OSHA would have a fit in the Star Wars universe. They're like, where the fuck are your railings?
I mean, it's the First Order. They don't care, I guess.
No, I mean, and I think Red Letter Media said that, like, in a world of like of railings, like where are the railings? There are no railings in Star Wars. Like, you're gonna fall. It's so unsafe. I mean, if I was on that bridge, I'd be like crawling on all fours. Like, I don't want to be here. That was, I'd say, the best scene in the entire movie.
Yeah, yeah, because like it was like really symbolic because the star was going away and like the light was going away in the windows and like there was like this red and blue like shining on them.
Yeah.
So it was like the dark and the light side. That was really
It was
cool.
amazing. That was
Yeah.
the best because the light was shining through the opening, and once again, Kylo Ren is the best character in the movie as far as like the new characters go. Actually, probably out of all the characters, like it's cool seeing Han and Leia, and eventually, with the spoiler, Luke makes an appearance at the very end.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like, that was a good way to end it. It's like, there's Luke. Finally. It almost kind of gives you hope, where it's like, now we begin. Like, in a way,
Yeah.
I feel like this is where we start. Now this is where things get serious. And I can't wait to hear him talk in the next movie. Like, oh,
Yeah.
worthy.
Yeah, he'll
I was
sound like
kinda-
the Joker.
I was kind of hoping that, it's kind of corny, by the end, she holds her saber out to Luke. I was kind of hoping he'd be like, you know.
That's what my dad said. Like,
I'm like, oh, he didn't. Never mind. Whatever. But they took a different path. but maybe that would have been too symbolic of like aggressive behavior.
I want to know where they shot those islands at. Where are those islands at?
They talk about it somewhere, I think, near Scotland. Funny enough.
Yeah, I was going to guess that because it kind of looks like that.
So Han dies. That scene was beautiful, and once again, Kylo Ren is. I love how they show you how conflicted he is. Like,
Yeah.
he starts to unravel at the end, where like he emotionally is he's first throughout the movie, you see him start off, we'll finish what we started. He's like being all calm and composed, and then they see things fall apart where he's like, I can't control this, I can't control that, fuck everything. He starts swinging his saber at consoles and swiping them, getting angry at people. And then he confronts his father, or his father confronts him, saying, "Kai, Ben, let's go home. Leave us behind." To which he's like, "I want to, Dad. Like, I want to. I really do. Like, this hurts, and I want to leave it behind." And that's when you see the light come through the opening, and then, like you said, the star went away, and then it got dark. You see in his eyes that it's like, oh no, and because he gives the saber to Han. And they're kind of both holding it, and you can see him like not giving it up, and then he stabs Han and throws him off the bridge, saying like there's no turning back at this point. And then you see the light, like Chewbacca freaks out. I love that.
Yeah.
She was like, "Ah, you fuck!"
And then like Rey and Finn, and like they're all crying and like shooting.
I like that because that's exactly what people would do. It's like, you just fucking kill our this guy who's a legend who saved us. And what I liked so much is how Kylo Ren looks up, and it has the opening and it has the light coming through still near Rey and Finn, which is symbolic of there's the light and there's the dark. Yeah. And Chewbacca, though, that his freak out actually kind of hit me because I'm like, that's his best friend. Like, Chewbacca actually owed a life debt to Han, and I believe in the books, actually, Chewbacca sacrificed his life to save Han Solo's son. So it's a bit ironic to see Han Solo's son kill him in this one. Wow. So yeah, he freaks out, and because when Chewbacca got back to the camp or back to the planet, he's like, you see him kind of crying, and it's like, oh, he lost his best friend. But I guess Chewbacca is now going to hang out with Rey and be part of her team.
Yeah, and one thing that I kept thinking about the Death Star, or I guess they call it the Star Killer.
Oh my God, that's a problem of its own.
Yeah, because I just kept thinking about it. It's like, if you drain a star, wouldn't the planet just like have no life on it?
Thank you. It would have been a slower death. Like,
yeah,
it's a callback because Star Killer was the original last name for Luke's Star Killer, and they changed to Skywalker. So it's kind of like and then okay.
I mean, I like the design of it, where it's like part of a planet, but the fact that it strains a star is like, okay, like how is the planet going to survive?
Extraordinarily, because if a solar flare got anywhere close to a planet, it would have fried the surface. Whatever.
I mean, a lot of the planets in Star Wars don't make sense.
A lot of shit doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Star Wars, it's sci-fi fantasy. What gets me, though, is that, like, how many times do we need to do this in order to understand this is not going to work? Stop building super weapons. Like, first off, where the hell was your fleet? I saw maybe one Star Destroyer the entire movie.
I mean, there was this one scene where they cut to a Star Destroyer, and it actually had a really good 3D effect on it. Where you
I was like, woo! Like, everyone turned to a Nazi. Oh. but the I don't know. I kind of expected a bigger defense from the Empire or the First Order to defend their planets. Like why were those TIE fighters? Whatever. Like
they invested all their money into infantry.
I know. Why did we put infantry on a planet like that? Whatever.
They don't even need it.
We don't need it. And even then, like, there's 3 people who got on the planet and fucked everything up, and yet your infantry did jack shit. Like, where's your soldiers? Like, I don't know. It's like, come on, guys. And then, like, when once again, the space fights, the dog fighting was so fast paced, and I kind of hated that, like, in a way, because I wanted there to be more tension. Where when those guys were attacking that palace, the X-wings are coming at them, and they have a dogfight. I'm like, what are the X-wings doing there already? There's no way possible, unless they were. There's no way you can get your pilots suited up in an X-wing on their way to a planet to defend it, unless they were already passing by, like they were already there. Yeah. Unless they intercepted a message or something.
Though I know that like at the end when they were going to the Star Killer planet, they were going there through hyperdrive and like. I'm not sure if like the X-wings can do that. I don't think they can do that.
They can.
They can? Okay.
Yeah.
So
TIE fighters can. All the Rebel Alliance fighters can. So I was kind of hoping we see some Y-wings though. I was like, come on, where are the Y-wings at? But whatever. So it was. Yeah. I mean, the X-wings looked beautiful. The dogfighting looked amazing as far as like just how blowing up.
Yeah.
I love seeing the different alien race pilots talking to each other because the pilots communicated. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Admiral Akbar's back.
Admiral Akbar's back. He sounds older, which makes sense.
Yeah.
How can we know what's going?
And like they still have the mask with the mask that he uses.
I love that
for the actor, I guess.
I think that's great. I love that. I love that Akbar's back. And also there's other guy too, Mr. Multi-Lip, who's there too.
Oh yeah.
And they paid a lot of homage to that. So but the space fights were just so quick though. Like the X-Wings, we're there. They engage so quickly. And it was almost like too fast though, where it's like I felt like in the older movies it was more like slower, wider turns, and it's a bit more breathing room to see the fighters do their thing. While this one's,
yeah.
Like there's a scene where that one pilot like takes out about 10 TIE fighters in like one sweep, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's a bit much. Like, I know he's a good pilot, but he's not that good.
Speaking of that, Finn uses the lightsaber a bit.
I love that. That was cool.
Though I saw some people saying that like, how can Finn know how to use the lightsaber as good as he does if he's just a stormtrooper?
It's called a melee weapon. All you gotta do is smack. Like even I could use one. What I love so much about the lightsabers, what they did a great job with is it was beep bim dun 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 dun. It wasn't like Darth Maul. That was too much. And this one, it really showed that like Kylo Ren, who also needs more training, was a better trained swordsman, and how he's swiping, spinning his swords around, but not on a Darth Maul scale. While Finn was just hacking away.
Yeah.
And then you can see the same thing with Rey when she got the lightsaber and she was fighting because they weren't very elegant about it. And you can tell that they were hurting. Like the way that Kylo's smacking his chest and the blood was pouring out, he was hurt.
Yeah. I wasn't sure like what he was doing. Then I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you beating your chest like a gorilla? And then like I saw the blood and I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, he looks pretty intimidating.
But then he did it again and I was like, okay, what?
Maybe he's freaking out. I love his China! He screams that. Because you can tell I love that. I love that. I truly do. I thought Kylo Ren's the best part of the movie. Because they do a great job of showing what a Sith Lord or a Sith who really didn't have a good master, like he's falling apart, and he also has big shoes to fill. His grandfather is the Darth Vader.
Yeah,
but it's kind of awkward. It's like, your grandfather defeated the Sith, so you're being an ass. You can't be an asshole right now. Like, you're gonna be an asshole. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh. Another thing. Crap. I mean, there's so much to talk about.
No, there is. We can go on for an hour.
Yeah.
Probably. It's Star Wars. For credit.
But there's a couple more things I wanted to mention. One of them is how like Finn tells Han Solo like Because Han's like, how are we going to do all that? And he says, "Yeah, we'll do it. We'll use the Force." And he says, like, that's not how it works.
I love that. That was great. There's some great dialogue. Like the thing about this movie is it's super easy to be hard on it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much good in the movie that you've got to be like, yeah, that was a great line. That was fantastic. Or, oh, that was hilarious. Like, there's a lot of just awesome parts in the movie. It looked beautiful. When their lightsabers are fighting, for example, you can see the color of the sabers, like, even in their eyes.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. People really cared about this movie.
That reminds me, in the beginning, when you first see Kylo Ren, it really shows just how like intimidating the First Order is, and also Kylo Ren, because the First Order is about to slaughter this village, and like you see like Finn, he's still in his mask, and he's like because in the beginning, like one of his fellow stormtroopers gets killed, and he like rubs blood on his mask, and he's like he's just kind of like traumatized.
Well, yeah, and that's what war is kind of like. Is like you're. I mean, and also, by the way, the Chrome Stormtrooper, man, what a heavily implied role that never did a damn thing.
I know.
Like, you didn't do anything.
Maybe the next movie.
I hope so, because she's a great actor. But it's almost like you didn't even shoot your freaking gun once, like. And I think I'm in charge now. I'm in charge now. You know me. I'm in charge now. It's like, calm down. Like I guess that's the thing about Finn is I felt. Yeah, I'm the captain now. I almost felt like once again, like would we be hearing this from a stormtrooper who has no childhood? Like, you think that would have been crushed out of him any kind of sense of like happiness or whatever? But whatever, Finn, I suppose, is different.
Yeah.
And that's my only complaint. Is Finn seemed a bit too laid back, casual. Like, you know, I'm a fun-loving guy. It's like, yeah, says the guy who was raised from birth to be a soldier. I don't think fun really should be in your personality.
Yeah. But the other thing I was going to mention about the beginning of the movie is when Kylo Ren stops the
That was cool.
Yeah, stops the blaster. Yeah. It just like it's in midair. It's like, whoa!
That was cool. I jumped out of my seat. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. No one's even thought about that. You know, whoosh, and,
yeah.
And I like Kylo Ren's voice under the helmet. Once just talking about this gets me excited to see the movie again. Like, so guys,
he doesn't really need the helmet.
He's trying to be his grandfather.
Yeah, but he wants to be like Darth Vader. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great storyline. I think it's fantastic. I hope to see more of that in the next movie. Here are some other small gripes. So once again, very similar to A New Hope. Like even the trench run where the X-Wings are like, you know, flying through the trenches. It's like, guys, come on, we've done this before. And Jim was tweeting to me a bit, or we were messaging each other a little bit. And Jim's like, I agree. He goes, I will give them a pass this time. But if they like replicate The Empire Strikes Back in the next one, that's going too far. It's like, then why even bother making this movie? You're just copy pasting. Like, I want to see this next movie go off in an entire new direction.
Yeah, I think it will.
And it will.
Yeah.
I think it'll be more focused on the Jedi Order. I think having Luke show up was huge. That sets up for a good second movie. So yeah, overall, I give it a solid 9 out of 10. Yeah. The 9 is for the great acting, the feels, the beautiful effects that are unmatched. The action, the pacing was a little bit. I guess that's why I give it like a point off. Almost too much action. Where I feel like I wanted to breathe a little bit more. They pulled a little bit too much from A New Hope. The comedy was a little bit weird at times. And that's it. So overall, awesome movie.
Couple more things before we close this out.
Yeah.
One thing is about Kylo Ren, and when he takes off the mask, I've seen some posts on like Tumblr and Twitter. It's like, oh no, he's hot.
I didn't think he actually was that hot. I thought
he's not really.
I actually kind of thought like he's not a super handsome actor. But then again, I'm like, that's okay. I like that.
Yeah. But and the other thing that we have not actually talked about yet is BB-8, the new droid.
I thought BB-8 was hilarious.
Yeah, I liked him.
Somebody said,
or her, or whatever. I liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's a robot.
Point. I liked how they almost kind of imply that 3PO, R2, and BB-8 knew each other for a while.
Yeah.
I like that. Like, it's almost like, hey, how's it going, BB-8? It wasn't like, an awkward, like, who the fuck's this guy? It was more like, oh, it's good to see you again. I like that. The funniest scene in the entire movie, in my opinion, was when Finn was like, yeah, I know what the planet is, right? He's a thumbs up, and
yeah,
he pulled out a lighter.
Yeah, the entire audience laughed at that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. BB-8 was very adorable, good comedy relief. Kind of was an R2D2, but see, that's the comedy relief.
Yeah, R2D2, but less sarcastic, I guess, because R2D2 is a little bit more like sass.
Less sassy.
Yeah.
BB-8. See, that's the comedy I was kind of hoping to see is from BB-8. Like, that's the kind of Star Wars comedy I want.
Yeah.
While Finn's comedy was a bit more like, it seems kind of out of place in a Star Wars movie. So yeah, BB-8 was great. Very adorable character. I look forward to seeing more of BB-8 later on. I think it's and all the new characters they introduced really complement the old cast. Like a stormtrooper who changed his ways, a young Jedi girl who once it has what happened to her family, what's happening with that. Han Solo's son, who's on the dark side. Leia and Han, something happened between those two, and now Leia is the only one who lives. Luke Skywalker went on the run and went into exile or whatever. He exiled himself, and now he's back in the picture. So, what's the story with the new Supreme Leader? There's a republic. It has a fleet, but that fleet's not the Resistance. So it almost seems like this Resistance is like Republic needs a push in the right direction. Bless you, Paleo. Bless you. Bless you. Paleo rates this movie 5 blesses out of 7. So
I think that's the first time I've actually sneezed in a video that I'm putting up. I'm not sure.
Guys, see the movie. It's excellent, and go see it with an audience. Like, I had so much fun seeing people cheering. Woo! You know, I actually was surprised when Luke showed up at the end. Nobody cheered, but it was because it would have been inappropriate cheering.
Yeah.
Let it be quiet.
Yeah, nobody cheered at my theater either.
Yeah, so, let it end and then cheer.
Like they cheered when they needed to. Like when the Millennium Falcon showed up, they cheered. When Han Solo showed up, they cheered.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like when Princess Leia showed up, they didn't really cheer, but they were like going to see what Han and Leia were going to do.
Yeah.
And then 3PO shows up and people are laughed. So
yeah, I love that. 3PO's introduction was hilarious, and it was very appropriate for his character. So yeah, overall, awesome movie. I love it. I can't wait to see it a couple more times. And I think the most important thing of all for a movie is it was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It was a fun movie in a fun universe with fun characters that mean a lot to you. Because at the end, I cared a lot about Finn. I cared a lot about Rey. I cared a lot about these characters. And I think that's the most important thing of all. Because in the old prequel trilogy, I can say that now. The old prequel trilogy, I didn't really care too much about the characters because they were just so dry.
Yeah, and terrible dialogue.
Yeah. It gets everywhere.
All right, so I think we've gone on long enough. We've gone on for like 40 minutes. So
it's good video.
Yeah. So yeah, Star Wars spoilers. This is a spoiler video, so if you want to talk about stuff down below, talk about it. And
yeah. Heads up to people watching the video, like. Yeah, put spoiler in the title of your video. So
yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, because I already have my spoiler-free video, so this is the spoiler video. So, yeah, so talk about it below, and then we'll see you next time. We'll see you in the next POS podcast. We'll talk about Star Wars again
with Jim.
Yeah, we'll talk. Well, he's probably not gonna be here next time.
Let's save it then.
Yeah, we'll save Star Wars when we talk to Jim. So yeah. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.